My name is Ahmed Al Alawi. As some of you might already know, I'm an Egyptologist. I spent 22 years of my life studying not only the ancient periods of Egypt, but the modern periods as well. Egypt is part of our black history because Egypt is in the continent of Africa. This is India and China. These two countries host half of the populations in our planet, hosting more than 1.5 billion each. Despite the concentrations of these populations there, the races of people in the two nations don't seem to mix. Never did the Indian population expand to migrate to China, and never did the Chinese population expand to migrate to India. Never do you see Indian architecture present in China, never do you see the Chinese wearing Indian clothing, and never hear a Chinese claiming India part of his Chinese history. These two nations live in the same continent, right? And these countries are bordering each other as well. There should be massive similarities between the two, yet they seem to have their own distinct gene pool. What is stopping these people from demographically influencing each other?
Over 3,000 kilometers long, the Himalayas are China's real Great Wall.
Mother Nature's natural border between the two worlds. Without these mountains, there would be no China or India, but a giant nation with the history of both. There are 1.2 billion Negro in sub-Saharan Africa, but in North Africa, the population seems to be just 150 million. Indeed, the Negro population, which is the far dominant, should have swallowed the North African region into their own gene pool. And yes, the Egyptians should have been part of quote-unquote black history, yet this is just not happening. North Africans and Sub-Saharans seem to be separate. The Great Sahara plays a big role in separating the two worlds. Some Afrocentrists might say, I don't think that the desert would stop the two from being one. And North Africa has always been a part of the Negro population's history.
They were people of color. I know that's a little rough for you to handle, but I know you want to hold on to that, somehow thinking whites built the pyramids, but I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, we did.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't, because first of all, they were building things in Egypt while white Europeans were still in caves.
This is the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire was one of the most powerful empires at the time. And with a strong military, wherever there is land, Romans try to conquer it. Let's look at what's stopping the Romans' borders from expanding in each direction. In the west, there is an ocean. Full stop. In the north, there are Germanic tribes that are not only stopping Romans from expanding, these tribes are even pillaging Roman cities. In the east, there is an equally strong empire bordering the Romans and stopping them from expanding further. In the south, the Romans have conquered all they could, but they seem to be just stopping. Again, what do you think is stopping a very empire from reaching the Negro population? Whatever rape, invasion, and slavery the colonial Europeans have recently done in sub-Saharan Africa should have been done a long time ago by the very Romans. The Romans should have been swimming in gold and diamond at that time. But we know what is stopping an empire to reach the Negro population, and it is the same thing again separating Negroes from North Africans now. The reason why North Africans are different from our black friends is not because the white man stole the black man's land. It's because the North Africans are a part of the Caucasian gene pool. The casual human migration from North Africa and to North Africa has always been accessible from either Europe or the Middle East, but not throughout the desert, which is the same reason human migration from China and to China has always been accessible from either Mongolia or Korea, for example, but not throughout the Himalayas. Keeping these gene pools separate. It's not that it's impossible to migrate throughout the Himalayas or throughout the desert, it's just that for such migration to make a difference requires the other side to be empty and without a gene pool or a competition in the first place. And even that would take tens of thousands of years to even be noticeable. Today, people native to West Africa are appropriating the history of Egypt as black history, claiming because Egypt is in Africa. And that is true, Egypt is in the continent of Africa, but that will be accurate the day the people of India would be appropriating Korean culture and claiming Korean history to be part of their Indian history. After all, aren't they both in Asia?
That's how I see blacks calling themselves Egyptians. Now, people may wondering, why this motherfucker fucking with everybody? That's not it. I just call stupid shit out. That's ethnocentrism. That's no different than if motherfucking Aryans with blue eyes deciding that he was goddamn #1 species of all the places in Africa. We went out and handpicked Egypt to claim as home. Now let me give you some truth. Do you realize that the only reason you fucking torn on Egypt like that is because that's the same motherfucking place the white man admired? You're still following your motherfucking master's lead. The white man created Egyptology, the study of Egypt. Black folks took lead. That's why we can't find our goddamn selves. Tricknology, he fucking with you to convince everybody black that Egypt is the greatest civilization, the first civilization, and the best, and that's what we should identify with. That's why we're so goddamn confused. Don't you know the white man loved Egypt and whitewashed Egypt? He loved that shit. And that's why your motherfucking Egyptian ass love it. You just ain't figured it out yet. Now, we cannot have no unity. Black people, we Israelite, we Hebrew Israelite, we black Jews, we Moors, we goddamn Kemites and Egyptians, we African Americans, we goddamn Christians. It's just too much. It's too much.